I don't think we've talked about it, but I also think it's fairly well documented out there, the mental health impact that smartphones are having, particularly on young girls and women. But let's talk a little bit. Do you think that smartphones, cell phones, all that stuff is having an impact relationally? Is that getting in the way of relational intimacy and connection? Is that undermining the relationships that we're seeing?
Well, what I'd like to invite our viewers and listeners to do is think about the last time they were with their partner, and do they know how often they looked at their cell phone? I'm going to say, unless that cell phone is in a different room, it was probably picked up more than once. Even to say, oh, let me just check that, or any number of different things. So I think cell phones are very destructive to relationships right now.
I was
Um,
going to say, how could it not have an impact? I mean, there's so many things, and I think that to affirm, there's so much that technology does bring to us. But I agree, Wendy. I did this training, and it was an attachment-based training. And the first thing we were with a bunch of strangers, and the first thing the instructor said was, "All right, pass your phone to the person on your left or right next to you, and trade your phones." And it was this weird experience of like, wait a second, I don't want it's something very private and personal. And, we have an attachment to these things, whether we realize it or not. So I'm giving my phone away and I'm just kind of like, what are you going to do with my phone? This is weird stuff. And the whole thing was look at our reflection on our attachment. And yeah, I think you're right, Wendy. We have a rule, no phones at the table. But just see what you said. How many times though has it been this thing came up and like, oh wait, yeah, let me confirm a date of this thing and let me go. So do I go get up and get my phone? Times, yeah, I do. Unless it's in another room. I mean, or asking ourselves, would I go out on a date with nobody having a cell phone? I mean, that might not be possible, but or do we put them in a certain place? I mean, just look around. You go anywhere and people are going to be on their phones. Even if I actually am just curious, even if it's I'm going to take a picture of this amazing dinner that I'm having and post it on social media right now. Is that part of the connection? Is that a barrier? I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's something. We've entered a third entity into our at least into our relationship, and we have a harder time connecting, I think, than ever before because of that.
well, it's interesting because if we're with another person and the other person's talking, and then the first person starts daydreaming, let's say, and not following the conversation, right? I would say this before cell phones, right? You could kind of daydream the person, are you listening to me? Oh yeah, no, I am. I was just, kind of distracted or thinking. But now, is it that, we have a daydream and then we go to our phone to get more information or to validate something or to, it's almost like another step of dissociation from that person or what's happening in that dynamic.
I have a friend who refers to the cell phone as the wonder killer. The like, I
Hmm.
wonder and I'm curious, and what do you think about this? And like the ability to sort of like think about and explore and the different possibilities. And now the phone, you just look it up and oh, here's the answer. No more wonder, no more exploration, no more thoughts, no more creativity. It's just,
I just looked this up really quickly as well. It's not Wonder Killer, but I had heard this, and we might have even mentioned on the podcast at one point. But my understanding, the classic still face experiment,
oh yeah,
they re-envisioned it, not just the still face experiment classically, but introduced a cell phone into the experiment, right? For anyone that doesn't know, so the classic experiment was, and this is at the time, so as a mother, as a primary attachment figure, mother with an infant, they did a study where mom's interacting with their infant and they're attuning to each other. So the infant has, they're laughing together or they're connected. The experiment at some point, the mother goes still face, so just expressionless. And what we find is within seconds, the infant gets really upset and distressed. It gets really upsetting to an infant that I can't reach mom. There's something so the mirror neurons, there's nothing, it's so distressing for us as humans. So that the whole experiment went, and of course it didn't stay that way. At some point, mom goes back and we reconnect and it's all okay. So they redid this with a cell phone, And I have to look at the full results, but I think they had the same experience when someone sits in front of a cell phone. We have the same still face experiment as humans, that experiment, it replicates it with cell phones. So, I've noticed this too. When I see someone, I'm trying to interact, and then someone pulls up a phone, I have this immediate, like, it's upsetting. If I'm trying to connect, I'm trying to be vulnerable, and someone pulls up a phone, there's a visceral reaction to him.
Well, I mean, I think what I hear when you say that is our smartphones have normalized really weird behaviors.